On this episode, I'm going to be showing you a way on how to fix those doors that are very hard to close because the door strikes are rubbing against each other, just like what you see here. So stay tuned for this episode. Welcome to Fix This House. If you're new to the channel, please consider pressing the subscribe and notification bell so you could always be in tune on DIYs, how-to videos, and product reviews that I do within this channel. If you look onto this latch on the door itself, you can see that it's sticking out just a little bit out right there. And if you look at the door jamb strike where that latch is striking, you can see that there are rubbing going on between the two strikes, and it's actually wearing down that metal, this metal plate, and there's actually screws that are protruding out that we need to fix as well. Now, if we look at the deadbolts on the door, there are high and low areas. This is a high spot where it's actually rubbing. There's one on the bottom corner and the top corner. And if you look at the deadbolt strike on the jamb itself, you can see that there's a strike marks as well. And there is an area where there is so high up there that's not even flush with the door jamb, and we need to fix that. But make sure that you check out my past video on how to fix a sagging door or the door that won't close. If your door doesn't close at all, try watching the video on the top right and observe that all your door jambs hinges and all the spacing above it is nice and even. If it is not even, this one's pretty even, so I know for a fact that it's actually the strikes that are messed up. But if it's not even like this, check out that video on the top right and watch that video that I made on 5 tips and tricks on how to fix those doors that won't close or are just having a hard time. But if you know for sure that your issue is on the door strikes that are rubbing itself, then go ahead with this video. Then we're gonna go and take out the strike. Okay, you have no choice but to take out the handle itself. You can see that the screw on this one has been worn out because of the constant rubbing that's been going on. I'm going to take out my whole door handle. It's really not that hard. All that it consists is a couple of screws. Just taking out the handle itself, take out the latch mechanism. I'm going to be using a 1/2-inch chisel, depending on what chisel you want to use. I'll leave all the tools that I use on the description down below. And you're just going to start slowly chiseling out those areas that are above the surface. Okay, so these are the areas that I'm just chiseling out so that I can make the strike itself flush with the door. This might take you a little bit, just constant trial and error. You're gonna put back the door latch and see if it's nice and even. If it's not, then go relieve a little bit more. Try to find those high areas that you need to relieve, and then when you're done with that, you're gonna have to put back the latch itself and test it out if it's nice and flushed. In this case, this is my second attempt, and it actually ended up being flush, so I know that's good. So I'm going to put back the strike and I'm going to put back the handle. Now when you put back the handle, don't over tighten it. You want this a little bit loose. If you over tighten this, it will not be flush. The door strike or the door strike and the latch will not be flush, and you will have a little bit of issues. So make sure that you have everything loose first before tightening down that handle. So now that we got everything on the latch and the strike attached, we're going to tighten down that handle, and it should be nice and aligned now. Now let's go look at the side view. If you look at the side view of this latch, it is nice and flushed with the door itself. You see that there's no more metal except for that the latch sticking out. The door strike itself is hidden inside that door. Okay, so give it a little bit of test. There's still a little bit of friction that I could feel, but overall it feels a lot better. We're going to be going to the deadbolt latch. Okay, so let's go take that apart. Same thing as you did with the door handle. Take out that strike plate, and you see where that rubbing is going on the bottom right corner, and there's one at the top as well. We're going to take out the deadbolt mechanism. Should be only 2 screws right there on the inside. Make sure you put them together, don't lose those parts, and you're going to take out the latch itself. And there's a little plastic liner on the inside that I'm going to be taking off so that we can start chiseling. I don't want to damage this, but it was there already when this door is there. So we're going to go and start chiseling out those high areas as well. So just like what you did with the door handle strike, what you did on the first one, you're just going to do the same thing on here, trial and error. If there's still high and lows, re-chisel those areas, and then you're going to put back the deadbolt mechanism again. When you're doing this, don't over tighten it. Make sure it's a little bit loose. And now we're gonna put back all the hardware for the strike. Okay, so once that's done, you're going to test it out once again. Make sure that it is nice and smooth when you open and close. And look at this, it actually feels a little bit more smoother than it was before. I still feel a little bit of friction. Now we're going to go and tackle the door jamb strikes. Now we're going to go and do the deadbolt strike first. I'm going to be taking out the screws. As you notice, the screws that I was used on this was a little bit short than what we need. And you can see that there's a little plastic liner on the inside. If you look inside of where they started chiseling out, whoever the past owner was of this house, they started chiseling out and they kind of left a little bit of high spots. They didn't really flush it out well. That's why it was protruding out. We're just going to go chisel out those high areas, just like what you see there, and just tackle it. I'm just going around the area, taking off those little excess pieces. And again, we're going to test and fit as we go. Now that we got everything done, we're going to replace the shorter screws with a longer piece of screw. This one's about 3 inches, and we're going to replace that. And we're going to replace the old one with these new ones. Okay, so do the top, then screw the bottom, and then make sure those are nice and tight. And if you look at it right now, it's a little bit sunken in a little bit, but what can we do? It's a lot better than it sticking out. But it's a lot better. It's actually, you don't see it anymore if you look on the side profile, which is good. Now we're going to tackle the last plate. On this one, I don't need to relieve anything. The only issue with this one was the screws were sticking out a little bit. So I'm going to be replacing this with longer screws, because look at this. This one actually is one's 2 inch and the other one is only a 1/2 inch screw. So that's not good. So I'm going to be replacing with a longer 3-inch screw, and I'm going to screw it in right there. Make sure that it's nice and tight and it's nice and flushed as well, and not sticking out like what it looked like before. Okay, so now that we got that all replaced, we should have all the hardware strikes on that door jamb nice and flush. You can see that it is nice and aligned, and you don't see any of the plates sticking out. This is what it looked like before. You see that I'm having a hard time closing it. It's rubbing against the strike on strike rub. And this is what it feels like now. It's nice and smooth, no effort needed, and it's just smooth. If you found this video helpful, friends, please hit that big thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you, friends.